In the heart of 15th century England, a small convent known as Littlemore Priory became the epicenter of a scandal that would shake the foundations of the Catholic Church and leave an indelible mark on the religious history of the country. Behind the walls of this seemingly devout priory lay a world of intrigue, passion, and transgression that defied all norms of monastic life. The nuns of Littlemore, far from being models of piety and modesty, became involved in a series of scandalous events, including illicit love affairs, secret pregnancies, wild parties, and even accusations of witchcraft. These behaviors, which would have been considered scandalous even by the laxest standards of secular society, were absolutely unthinkable for women who had sworn to dedicate their lives to God and prayer. But who were these rebellious nuns really? What led them to so openly defy the strict rules of their order and risk not only their reputations but also their immortal souls? In today's video, you will learn about the scandals and sins of the nuns of Littlemore. As bad news always spreads faster than good news, the entire community was shocked by the murmurs circulating on every corner. Rumors spoke of scandalous behavior, wild parties, and even pregnancies among the nuns. People wondered how it was possible for a sacred place to become corrupted, staining the reputation not only of the priory but of the entire church at a time when the Protestant Reformation was gaining ground in Europe. If this is your first time on the channel, subscribe now so you don't miss any important content about the darkest chapters of our history. Alarmed by the rumors, the Bishop of Lincoln, William Atwater, decided to send his agents to investigate what was happening at the priory. The bishop's commissioner, Edmund Ford, and the Episcopal Chancellor, Richard Homeston, were tasked with inspecting the house and the women's routines. What they discovered was worse than they expected. It was observed that the sisters had great difficulty adhering to the fasts prescribed by the Benedictine rule and that their diet consisted of meat every day, something that was forbidden in convents. But if only the problems had been limited to food. The investigators revealed that the prioress, Liz Wake, regularly invited a Cistercian monk and another nun to partake in long drinking bouts, a true scandal for the time. Drunkenness was a staple of the unconventional parties held at the priory, where all kinds of worldly pleasures were indulged in. This was undoubtedly inappropriate for a place dedicated to religious life and provoked the ire of those who believed in the Christian principles of austerity and purity. But the scandals did not end there. At the beginning of the investigation, Edmund discovered that the prioress, Catherine Wells, had become pregnant by Richard Witch, a chaplain from Kent who performed sacraments at the convent. The chaplain visited the priory about 3 times a year, and when they were together, they lived as a couple, completely ignoring their vows of chastity. Catherine, eager to secure a good future for her illegitimate daughter, did not hesitate to embezzle goods from the other nuns to give them as a dowry to the girl, thus ensuring her social position. This was not the only case of pregnancy among the sisters. Before Catherine's affair with the chaplain, another nun named Juliana Winter had a child with John Weasley, a married professor from Oxford University. The fact that the nuns broke their vows of chastity and had children was a major scandal that called into question the moral integrity of the entire priory. But the problems were not limited to pregnancies and parties. The nuns also denounced Prioress Catherine for being a brutal and tyrannical disciplinarian. According to testimonies, whenever the subject of her illegitimate child came to light, Catherine severely punished those responsible for spreading the information and subjected them to harsh punishments, such as isolating them in the storeroom where food was kept. The investigation also revealed serious financial problems at the priory. Although the nuns had taken a vow of poverty, they were allowed to have what was necessary to live with dignity. However, poor economic management had driven the convent into crisis. The structure of the house was completely deteriorated due to a lack of investment and maintenance. The man responsible for finances, Wells, was in charge of collecting rent from the priory's tenants, but he apparently did so in a less than transparent manner. As a result, the nuns had to make do with low-quality clothing and meager food supplies. To make matters worse, it was discovered that all the priory's possessions had been pawned by its owner to obtain quick money. This, combined with Prioress Catherine's habit of confiscating the little money the nuns had to distribute it among her relatives, had left the convent in ruins. The victims of these abuses told investigators how they were stripped of their scarce resources for the personal benefit of the prioress and her close circle. The combination of lack of investment, poor management, and the prioress's scandalous conduct had disastrous consequences for the priory. No woman wanted to join as a novice in a place with such a reputation, making it impossible for the convent to ensure its continuity. Moreover, no serious investor wanted to associate with such a discredited institution, further worsening the financial crisis. A year after the initial report, Bishop William Atwater himself visited the priory to speak personally with the prioress and assess the situation. To his dismay, he discovered that things had worsened since the last inspection. The nuns no longer obeyed the prioress's orders and responded to her reprimands with small mutinies and acts of defiance. The punishment of isolation in the storeroom had lost all effect, as the nuns found ways to escape and defy authority. Additionally, Prioress Catherine was furious over the conduct of one of the younger nuns, Elizabeth Winter, whom she accused of bringing men into her room for illicit relations. The women of the priory now spent their days playing games, laughing, and engaging in frivolous conversations, far from the contemplative life expected of them. However, the nuns also had their complaints against the prioress. They claimed it was impossible to live in a place where even the firewood had been sold, forcing them to endure extreme cold. They also complained that Catherine spent more and more time with her lover Louis, a married man who had lived at the priory for 5 months, neglecting her duties as a spiritual leader. Bishop Atwater realized that the situation was unsustainable and that he had to take drastic measures to prevent the scandal from spreading further. He summoned Catherine Wells to the Ecclesiastical Court of Lincoln to answer accusations of immorality and incontinence. At first, the prioress denied everything, but faced with overwhelming evidence presented by the bishop, she had no choice but to confess her sins. As punishment for her transgressions, Catherine was stripped of her position as prioress and was ordered to gradually leave religious life until a suitable replacement could be found. The lands of the priory, which was now mockingly called the Priory of Love, were designated for the construction of a school in an attempt to erase the scandalous past of the place and redirect the area toward more noble purposes. In 2015, archaeologists made a revealing discovery at the former convent site. Excavations uncovered the remains of 22 individuals, including men, women, and children. Some skeletons showed signs of having led privileged lives within the priory, reflected in burials inside the church, while others revealed existences marked by hardship and violence in the outer cemetery. This archaeological finding provided new insights into the lives and transgressions at Littlemore Priory, shedding light on the social contrasts and internal tensions that affected the religious community in its time. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, activate the notification bell, leave a like, subscribe for more historical content, and leave your comments below. Until next time.